right. Welcome back to Black Bear News, where everything is connected. And we are covering climate change news of the day. Of course, when it rains, it pours. I was already late, and when I tried to start my stream, my computer just completely freaked out, so I had to restart everything. And that's how that goes. The early chatters are in. Welcome, guys. Good to see you. Rockfin, we are live on Rockfin. We have one watching on Rockfin. Can we get more people onto Rockfin? ROKFIN.com. I will read your chats on Rockfin in a moment. But right off the bat, I have received some Rockfin tips. It's hard for me to sometimes see the Rockfin tips, and sometimes I don't see them until after the show. So I just wanted to give a special shout out to the people who have tipped me on Rockfin in the last month. Puff, Adderall, Raza, Scott Andrews, Poppy Davis, Snake 1974, Jay Thadcast, and Daryl West. Thank you for your tips on Rockfin. I really appreciate you. All right, so let's get into it. Let's try to get into it. Let's try and try. First of all, let's start with this. And of course, this didn't work. Okay, let's start with this. Biden admin issues 30-plus drilling permits. Okay. Let's read on. This is from Wednesday, January 27th. The Biden administration has issued at least 31 new drilling permits authorizing operations on federal land and coastal waters. The move, well, hold on, let me go back. Despite an order putting political appointees in charge of the decisions, the move signals those drilling authorizations are continuing to flow despite President Joe Biden's plan to pause oil and gas leasing. And a January 20 order temporarily putting decisions about oil and gas permits, mining operations, hiring, and other matters in the hands of top Interior Department officials. The order provoked alarm across the oil industry as energy companies worried they wouldn't get approval to drill new wells or swift approval to amend permits for ongoing drilling operations. So far, there's no signs of the blockade. Offshore, the Bureau of Safety and Environmental Enforcement has issued 22 drilling permits to 8 companies since January 20. They were just shooting out, shooting out of the government. When President Joe Biden was inaugurated, recipients have included BP Exploration and Production, Inc., Arena Offshore, Shell Offshore, Inc., and BHP Billiton Petroleum subsidiary, according to a Bloomberg News review of an Interior Department database. The offshore approvals for wells in the Gulf of Mexico have been issued on a steady basis since Biden's inauguration, including this week. Let's keep that oil a-flowing, boys. Come on. Onshore, the Bureau of Land Management issued 9 permits for wells in Montana, New Mexico, and Wyoming on January 20 and January 21, according to a review of a separate database by watchdog group Accountable US. The companies that received the authorizations were Jonah Energy LLC, Burlington Resources Oil and Gas Company LP, and Legacy Reserves Operating LP. The Interior Department said in a statement that permits for valid existing leases are continuing to be reviewed and approved. The agency has maintained that the order, which is set to expire March 20, does not equate to a drilling permit freeze and does not apply to tribal lands. Doesn't apply to tribal lands, so, whatever's going on there, continue. I find that interesting that it doesn't apply to tribal lands. Yeah. That's what's going on, guys. Of course, business as usual must be continued. To deny these permits would throw the system into a bit of chaos and would probably represent something really radical climate action. That's what it would represent if they actually denied these permits. We don't have, the Biden administration and, of course, the rest of the world doesn't have a plan for radical. What would we do if we really pulled the rug out from the fossil fuel economy? Nobody's really prepared for those kinds of consequences. So, mainly it's lip service being administered. Yes, we really care about climate change. Yeah, is it better than I don't care about climate change? Sure, but it's mostly words, and the actions don't necessarily line up with the words. And did anybody really think that they were going to? If you did, you might be slightly gullible. What would we do if we really pulled out the rug from the fossil fuel economy? It would be great if progressive platforms and organizations could put concrete, sensible policy plans or ideas out there in the world that could be an alternative to business as usual. Something like #backyard farms to grow your own food. #decriminalize living off grid. Or how about the #live with less initiative, or #ban the rich. I don't know how great these ideas are, but anything, put forward as an alternative to the system we live in. And I know that many of these ideas are already out there and already been hashtagged and talked about. But we need something like a broad national platform. Again, that's why I call on progressive journalists and politicians as well, people with large platforms are able to reach a large percentage of the population. I urge you to start taking up these kinds of ideas, not, as also an alternative to a Green New Deal, right? We need alternative to capitalism. Living in harmony with nature is not the Green New Deal. Something like that, right? These ideas need to be out there in a much bigger way, far and wide. Please, oh, pretty please. Oh, Raza, thank you. You rock too. Raza says, find Kuro. Kuro's out there. Kuro's not lost. Oh, hey, Kuro's right there. That's funny. I thought for some reason you weren't seeing Kuro in the chats, but anyways. Rich China says, the climate always changes, but in teeny weeny bits. Huh? What's the exponential function? No clue. Raza says they lied to us. Well, indeed. Of course they did. Ross Cobbin says the problem is that the vast majority would choose to be rich financially if given the opportunity. Sure. Of course. Everybody wants to be rich. And I guess on some levels I do too, but I don't really care. I mean, I don't want to be rich. I just don't want to, I don't want to be a slave to the bills. I don't want to be a slave to the system, so, that's different from wanting to be rich, I guess. Kuro is away from the keypad. Okay. Let's check out Rockfin. What's going on? I got Rockfin people. We have Kevin Shanholter, Poppy Davis, Osama number 5. Good day, everybody's. Snake 1974. Thanks for hanging out with me on Rockfin. Oh, nice. Thanks, Boiled Rope Lamppost, for the super chat. Black Bear stimulus check. Ooh-wee. Thanks, man. Always appreciated. Saw this. This is a pretty good tweet. I like this from Robin Westenra, a complicity theorist. A person who accepts the political narrative of the day unquestionably, consumes mainstream media like it was 1980, and is prone to submissiveness, outbursts of irrational fear, and public shaming of free thinkers. Yes. Indeed. I like that one a lot. Thanks, Seymour Rocks, a.k.a. Robin Westenra. Oh, maybe none of my buttons are working. None of them. Oh, I guess not. Okay. No buttons worky today. That's all right. We got ways around this and that. Kiro Hikes, thank you for the super chat. Blunt smoke in my eyes. All right. Ouch. Or enjoy that. Whichever one. I guess that's a good thing, right? Blunt smoke in the eyes. Irk One says Dutch Masters. All right, let's move on to that I wanted to cover today. Guys, we're doing a quick one today, and then I'm going to move over to neorealism. But really interesting article in the LA Times. The LA Times. Bringing out the Collapseologists. Op-ed from Jeff Gibbs and Christopher Ketchum. Collapseologists are warning humanity that business as usual will make the earth uninhabitable. Get zoinks. Yikes. Hundreds of scientists, writers, and academics from 30 countries sounded a warning to humanity in an open letter published in The Guardian in December. Policymakers and the rest of us must engage openly with the risk of disruption and even collapse of our societies. Yeah. Policymakers must engage openly with the risk of disruption. If you're living in reality. Again, collapseologists, doomers, all of them realists to a large degree. Damage to the climate and environment will be the overarching cause, and researchers in many areas have projected widespread social collapse as a credible scenario this century. And some might consider it a credible scenario in the next decade or two. Don't let the century talk fool you. It's not hard to find the collapsology studies they are talking about. In a report for the sustainability group Future Earth, a survey of scientists found that extreme weather events, food insecurity, freshwater shortages, and the broad degradation of life-sustaining ecosystems have the potential to impact and amplify one another in ways that might cascade to create global systemic collapse. And that's, unfortunately all too likely. A 2019 report from the Breakthrough National Center for Climate Restoration A think tank in Australia projected that a rapidly warming world of depleted resources and mounting pollution would lead to a largely uninhabitable Earth and a breakdown of nations and the international order. Say what? Analysts in the U.S. and British military over the past 2 years have issued similar warnings of climate and environment-driven chaos. Again, and, you know, they've issued those warnings over the past 2 years, but those warnings have been going on for decades now. Decades now. If you go all the way back to Paul Ehrlich in the early 70s. Of course, if you are a non-human species, collapse is well underway. Right. Extinction isn't just for humans anymore. 99% of the tall grass prairie in North America is gone. 99%. By one estimate, 96% of the biomass of mammals, 96% biomass is their weight on Earth, now consists of humans, our pets, and our farm animals. Yes. And everybody's seen the graphs. And those are not delusional or made up or, you know, invented by the elites to take control of everybody. No, those are real. That's real. That's really happening. Nearly 90% of the fish stocks the UN monitors are either fully exploited, overexploited, or depleted. 90%. A multi-year study in Germany showed a 76% decline in insect biomass. And that's not just in Germany either. Many places of the world are experiencing the same decline in insect biomass. The call for public engagement with the unthinkable is especially germane in this moment of still uncontrolled pandemic. Indeed. Probably a really good time to start talking about this when everybody feels like normal will never come back. This is a good time to say, like, well, let's not go back to normal then. Let's choose another way is available to us. Institutional failures, an economic crisis in the world's most technologically advanced nations. Not very long ago, it was also unthinkable that a virus could shut down nations and that safety nets would be proven so disastrously lacking in resilience. The international scholars' warning doesn't venture to say exactly what collapse will look like or when it might happen. Collapsology is more concerned with identifying trends and with them the dangers of everyday civilization. Ever-expanding economic growth, rapacious consumption of resources, and the saturation of the planet's limited repositories for waste. Among the signatories of the warning was William Rees, a population ecologist at the University of British Columbia, best known as the originator of the ecological footprint concept, which measures the total amount of environmental input needed to maintain a given lifestyle. Very important. What standard of living? Lifestyle equals standard of living. So what's the environmental input? What does it take? How many resources does it take to live at a certain standard of living or level of lifestyle? With the current footprint of humanity, most egregiously the footprint of the energy and resource entitled Global North, it seems that some form of global societal collapse is inevitable, possibly within a decade, certainly within this century. Rees said in an email, the most pressing proximate cause of biophysical collapse is what he calls overshoot. Say it again. Say it with me, class. Overshoot. Humans exploiting natural systems faster than the systems can regenerate. The human enterprise is financing its growth and development by liquidating biophysical capital, quote unquote, essential to its own existence. We are dumping waste at rates beyond nature's assimilative capacity. Warming temperatures, plunging biodiversity, worldwide deforestation, and ocean pollution, among other problems, are all important in their own right, but each is a mere symptom of overshoot, says Rees. The message we should glean from the evidence is that all human enterprise is ultimately determined by biophysical limits. Biophysical limits, carrying capacity. We are exceptional animals, but we are not exempt from the laws of nature. Ding, ding, ding. Another of the signatories of the letter is Will Stephan, a retired Earth system scientist from the Australian National University. Stephan singles out the neoliberal economic growth paradigm, the pursuit of ever-expanding GDP, as incompatible with the well-functioning Earth system at the planetary level. Collapse, he told an interviewer, is the most likely outcome of the present trajectory of the current system as prophetically modeled in Limits to Growth. Limits to Growth is a 150-page bombshell of a book published in 1972. The authors, a team of MIT scientists, created a computerized system dynamics model called World 3, the first of its kind, to examine worldwide growth trends from 1900 to 1970. They extrapolated from the historical data to model 12 future scenarios projected to the year 2100. The models showed that any system based on exponential economic and population growth crashed eventually. The gloomiest model was the one in which the present growth trends in world population, industrialization, pollution, food production, and resource depletion continue unchanged. Economic expansion is closely linked to population expansion. We couldn't say that one or the other is the cause of the collapse, but they're both very much intertwined. If you take away the economy, you take away the population. And if you take away the population, most likely take away the economy, but, you need the population to buy the things in order to have the economy, right? Okay. In that business as usual scenario, collapse would begin slowly in the 2020s and accelerate thereafter. You guys feel like we're slowly entering into some collapse right now? Slowly begin in the 2020s. How about 2020? And accelerate thereafter. Updates to the limit study have found that its projections so far have been, you guessed it, spot on. Only if we discuss the consequences of our biophysical limits, the December warning letter says, can we reduce their likelihood, speed, severity, and harm. And yet, messengers of the coming turmoil are likely to be ignored. Crowned doomers, collapseniks, marginal, and therefore discountable. We all want to hope things will turn out fine. Man is a victim of dope in the incurable form of hope, as poet Ogden Nash wrote. The hundreds of scholars who signed the letter are intent on quieting hope that ignores preparedness. Let's look directly into the abyss of collapse, they say, and deal with the terrible possibilities of what we see there to make the best of a turbulent future. Good op-ed, and wow, good on Los Angeles Times for having that discussion, allowing that discussion to be had or brought forth or presented. Good on you. And there's really nothing much more to say about that. Oh my God, go, you must get down. Again, straightforward and overarching ideas must be put forward. Hashtag ban nuclear weapons. Hashtag ban all militaries. Hashtag ban nuclear power. Hashtag live off the land to combat climate change. What is desired is the degrowth of our current economy. What the fallout from that will be is that we will see difficulty feeding 8 billion people. So let's anticipate that by putting energy into making sure that people that are here be fed as best as possible, and anticipating also by having fewer children so as not to strain what might be meager supplies in the future. The specter of collapse means everyone must open their minds to a radically different future. That's why I think that people, doomers, collapsologists, whatever you want to call them, realists, people that are in touch with the impending collapse of either the environmental system or the economic system. I think those people have fared somewhat better mentally in the pandemic because, because they've already expected something crazy to happen, right? So you're already better mentally prepared for stuff like that. It's the people that, pretty much assumed that normal was going to stay normal for the near foreseeable future. Those are the people that have been, had their emotional or mental legs taken out from under them because they're like, whoa, oh my God, what's happening? And again, this is why this is a good time to start presenting these ideas and get people really used to talking about these concepts because, yes, people are on shaky ground emotionally. Yes, people are feeling anxiety over what's happening in the world. Well, this might be a good time to not just get used to it, but kind of embrace the idea that we're moving into a different future. The specter of collapse means everyone must open their minds to a radically different future. Again, anticipate this not by resisting, but by embracing, and really try to see beyond the hopeful messaging of the Green New Society marketing, or the Great Reset marketing, whatever you want to call it, that's going on. We will not buy our way out of this mess. Ain't gonna happen. As Nancy Pelosi said, ain't gonna happen. Anyways. Scott Andrews says, my coffee cup is empty. I'm collapsing. Oh, I feel you. Scott Andrews says, Kevin's buttons are broken indeed. Osama fears the next El Nino. I'm reading Rockfin comments. Scott Andrews, I'm here in the Little Bear Den. Poppy Davis says, I believe Biden has frozen the permits. Oh, since that article? Okay. I didn't see an update to that, but thank you for the information. Richard Monroe says, embrace the embraceable. Embrace the embraceable. He also says, hug a tree. It's a good plan, Richard Monroe. John Allen, where's my 2 G's, Joe? We're going to talk about that on Neo-Realism, John Allen. Guys, that's it for today. Making it real short and concise. I'm going to be at Neo-Realism in about 18 minutes. So come join me over there. We'll talk about a couple of political things. And thank you for your eyes, your ears, and your conscience. Until next time, peace.